Gone was an era when SilkAir was SilkAir. Now it has been merged into its parent company and will be gone from the history books forever. It is a sad moment, but also something to look forward to. So let's head into it. To give you like a short idea of what I'm talking, SilkAir was an airline founded in the 1970s as Tradewinds. Alright, Tradewinds Airlines. Its first aircraft were SC-7 Skyvans leased from the Republic of Singapore Air Force, then known as the Singapore Air Defence Command, because it was the time before the British left. So in the interim period between the RAF leaving and the RSAF being truly formed on independence, it was called SADC, or Singapore Air Defence Command. Now, what we have here is, so Tradewinds started off with SC-7 Skyvans. It then progressed into Fokker 70s and MD-87s. I have tried to look for these models everywhere. The only thing I could find were 1200s, and as you know, I don't really have the space for 1200 like die-cast nor resin ones, unless, and I'm still, mulling over whether to get the Fokker 70 1200 scale. But if I do, I'll let you guys know, But for now, there's this 9 and 1400 scale, then they also had some A310s for an interim period, when SIA leased it over to them. That one, there's also no 1400 scale models for that, Obviously, the A310s were from Singapore Airlines. Singapore Airlines actually acquired the air. If I was correct, he's actually had a travel corporation called Tradewinds, which was for like their travel agency, in the past, and they own it still currently. Then from there, they transitioned into SilkAir. So the eagle you see on the tail of the aircraft right here is actually from the Tradewinds times. So the livery and everything persists still today. Only the name changing from Tradewinds to SilkAir. Now this was formed, for charter operations for their holidays and all. Obviously, as demand grew and Singapore Airlines grew bigger, Singapore Airlines realized that their aircraft were meant for were for the basic regional routes and your big faraway distances like Europe, Middle East, and America from Singapore. And then so they changed Tradewinds from becoming sort of a charter company to becoming a regional airline for Singapore Airlines, running the routes that they don't typically do. Something like Singapore to Yunnan in China. Singapore Airlines doesn't usually fly to Yunnan, mostly because of sometimes the cost associated and the demand. But with SilkAir, they can offer something that is a lot more ergonomic, because what Singapore Airlines offers is the more regional one, so it's definitely a bit more luxurious. What SilkAir provides is a more tagged down version of Singapore Airlines regional flights, Singapore Airlines regional serving, to cater to, markets that are not as big as what Singapore Airlines product services would require, but yet, attain the benefit out of it, So they flew to places like Yunnan. They shared, Singapore Airlines and SilkAir both did, flights to Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Kota Kinabalu. They share depending on the demand, because obviously it was at that moment when Singapore Airlines also transformed into a all white body fleet, So yeah, they transitioned into all white body fleet. But if you were to continue now, the sad fact is that they announced a merger in the 2019 fiscal year. This is due to the fact that they wanted to streamline operations and reduce costs, because they were getting a lot of new orders for new aircraft that they needed to find the money, and they thought now that most of SilkAir's destinations are actually now very big enough, and whereby the cost to fly to there is actually less than the profit they make, because they are able to because these places like Yunnan and Kuala Lumpur, they realize that the demand is still there, but if we offer a Singapore Airlines regional serving, these people now realize there is more worth to pay a little bit more extra just for that better service. So yeah, now for the fleet history, continuing from the A310s, they also had 737-300s. Sadly, one of them was crashed in I think it was just flying out of Jakarta. It crashed into a river, 90 degrees down into the river. The captain of the flight which was in control of the aircraft, was a A4SU Skyhawk pilot. The A4SU is a Singapore converted A4 Skyhawk, and the guy flew for the Black Knights, and sadly he was the only one that survived from a training flight in which most of his teammates flying in the other A4SUs were crashed into Bukit Timah Hill. Sad thing. Although there was no ruling of whether it could have linked that incident to any depression he faced. Yeah. So then he moved on into A319s and A320s. I'm also trying to find those, but they were older molds, not that good, so it's hard to find. Then from there they also ordered some 737-800s to complement, and then now they're ordering Max 8s. As you can see, but those were grounded, so not much to say. This one right here is a Dash 800. Now, with the merger, it was actually sped up in 2020 because of pandemic, and so what's gonna happen is that fleet-wise is that the A319s, A320s, most will be retired. Some will be transferred over to Scoot Tiger Air, which is their low-cost offshoot, which operates the A320 family for regional flights. Longer range flights like Singapore to Athens, they use 787-8 or -9s. Whereas the 737s, including the Maxes, will be in with Singapore Airlines offering the new Singapore Airlines regional servings, similar to what you may see on the 787-10s, which will also be serving on regional routes despite its long range. Yeah. So what we have here is one that hasn't been converted in real life yet. That is Niner Vector Mike Golf Oscar MGO. This is made by Pheonix. Pheonix is the only one to recently have SilkAir on its offering. I think that JC Wings also has a few. I think it was a Focus 17, like I said, 1-200. Other than that, I think it was the Max 8. That was on a recent pre-order, but you know how long JC Wings takes. So this one came pretty fast. Also I've got a basic view. I don't know what's this skyline. Most likely some view for the Philippines or Indonesia. Clip art. Sorry if I took very long, it's just and I explain the history and everything. Obviously you've got the SilkAir bird here, the stripe, clip art logo, warning, logo clip art, same stripe, and everything's all the same, SilkAir colors. Then this is my best guess is Darwin, because Singapore Airlines, SilkAir actually flies the Dash 800 to Darwin, so which is in the Northern Territory. Darwin is actually quite beachy, so yeah. We're moving very fast though. This is using your most latest Pheonix mold, which was from a few years back. The box still remains the standard, and the eagle bird now shown in full view. There you go, that's the box with plastic cover on the top, so it's now just going to take it from the bottom. And obviously you're starting to see the plaster-sized wheel wells, which I really don't appreciate, because a lot of the Pheonix 737s, what happened is that the wheel wells are actually covered in sort of this black plastic, instead of actually being empty like the Panda models one. If you've seen my comparison video within Niner Vector Mike Golf Kilo and Mike Golf Alpha, with Mike Golf Alpha being the Pheonix one. Yeah, that's all the things I did say about Pheonix. The fact that scale wells is covered, nose printing may not be as good as the Panda one. The color shade of the SIA gold was also a bit off. I think for this one, they nailed it pretty well. They really hit it on the mark, I would say. Yep, so we're gonna just start with the basic nose. They've gotten it really beautifully done up. You can see that printing is solid effort. They added a bit more detail into the front as well, all the pitted tubes, etc. They move down. Oh yeah, and I realized something. These aren't spoilers. The spoilers are actually around here, near lower down. I know these are lower down. It's just I thought that these was spoiler markings, but these are actually just markings for the wings. But I'm not exactly sure. But it most likely should be for the important systems within the wings, like the aileron controls or the hydraulics are located within here. Then you've got your standard moving down, and then you've got your registration. Niner Vector Mike Golf Oscar. It hasn't been painted into the SIA color. I'll show you it later. And then you have your sort of dark blue here with your sort of teal green here, you know, overshadowed by a SilkAir eagle. It's really one of the most beautiful liveries. It's also one of the few old liveries that actually had a full tail. Now what I call a full tail is when, you know, the tail livery actually swoops down to the fuselage, you know. So that's really an exciting thing to know, you know. So yeah, if you hear any background music, that's just one of the videos that's going to be coming out before this one. It's a G550 one, yeah. If you've been seeing why I've not been uploading as consistently, it's because I've been doing a lot of schoolwork recently, and I've got end of year exams coming up. So yeah, definitely I've got enough backlog to start editing, just I may or may not have enough time to do the backlog. Yeah. So moving on, now we want to, you know, so I've already said what I have to say about the Pheonix more in multiple other 737 videos. So yeah, although spoiler alert, although word of advice, Pheonix, make your wheels smoother and don't try and use the silver ones. Like, use detail when necessary, because like some of these wheel hub covers are actually you know, red like Southwest ones, you know, or white in most cases. So silver is really a different interpretation and mostly found on older aircraft. So I think it's best to, you know, just keep it safe and, you know, only use the different wheel wells when necessary. Alright, so what you've got there is a SilkAir 737-800, which has been painted into Singapore Airlines colors. That is Mike Golf Alpha. Yep, it's the one I reviewed with the Panda one. Now, this was the first, like I said, the first 737-800 to be painted into SIA colors. So the difference is not only on the exterior, but also in the interior. The interior also features a lot of differences in terms of the cabin. You know, it's more, everybody has an IFE. SilkAir's one was a bit more of a regional offering, where the IFE is just placed on top. You would see that in things like the CS100 from Swiss, etc. You know, so yeah, you can see that obviously the difference is in the tail. You know, you also have the SIA cheat line. You can see the SIA wording is bolder, you know, and longer than the SilkAir one. The flag is there, the Singapore flag. You know, the winglets also have a bit of a difference in terms of like livery. You know, livery wise, you know, you can also see that there's a Star Alliance logo. This isn't, because SilkAir is only just a subsidiary. Technically, before the merger was even announced, the Singapore Airlines flew SilkAir as a connect partner, something like the Junior Airlines, you know. So they were SilkAir, you know, was considered under it. So if you booked for a SilkAir flight, you know, and then you had Star Alliance Go, you'd still get the same. You get the points, the SilkAir, the KrisFlyer points for it, you know, etc. etc. It doesn't necessarily mean Star Alliance Go. Any Star Alliance member who flew on SilkAir, you know, will get the miles. So I think that overall, Pheonix actually came with this right in the nice time. I think that, you know, it's a nice one, a fitting send off to, you know, a legacy of an airline that has lasted here for about more than 50 years. You know, and you know, just as most of its aircraft are about to be painted over, they released this. It's really a fitting tribute to an airline which had, you know, helped Singapore Airlines grow its regional offering here. And I think that's it. Now you switch over to the montage, where I'll feature both of them side by side, just like how they would in the Changi RAM as they are being before and after painting, and set it on the hangar. And I'll use a Pudong background, Shanghai Pudong. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
But for you, I guess you moved on really easily. You found a new girl and it only took a couple weeks. Remember when you said that you wanted to give me the world? You're my saving grace. You're everything I need and more. It's written all over your face. Baby, I can feel your halo. Pray it won't fade away. Halo, see your halo. Just saying, gonna be okay. Hey, soul sister, Renee, oh yeah, 'cause we gon' rock this club. California girls, we're unforgettable. That Mr. on the radio, stereo. We found love in a hopeless place. Planet Earth turns slowly.